Hi everyone, Stampy Land, Susan here for StampyLand.com with a Tuesday for you. A little tutorial, some tricks and some tips here to answer some questions I've received over the last week. I posted this card last week on the blog, and it's a image that is from La La Land Crafts, and it's an image that I pop dotted. You can see she's pop dotted. She's on standard American Crafts thickness pop dots, but I got her extra shadowed look by sponging in the background and stamping her. And this is a trick that I've done for a long time, partially because it helps me line things up and do some planning, but it also adds a little extra layer of dimension when you add one extra step. So if you look underneath her, you can see that her image is stamped on the bottom layer, right under there. And then I also go around it with a Copic. And then I sponge over the top of it, and it kind of blends the whole thing together and gives her, you're seeing lots of shadows now because I'm under the light, but in just three-dimension, when you're right here next to it, you can see the lines underneath and the gray shadow, and it really makes her pop off of the scrapbook paper. All right, so I'm going to show you, this is, I use this a lot with sitting images. There's lots of magnolia sitting images, there's lots of greeting farm sitting images, and more, the CC Designs are some great sitting little images in CC Designs. And I love doing the sitting images. They just seem so peaceful and at rest, but sometimes it's hard to know what to sit them on. Those of you that have followed the Scrappy Land blog for a while know that one of the things I love sitting them on are die-cut letters. So I just spell out my sentiment and have these little stamped images sit on top of them. But another thing that's really easy to do is cut them out. And when I cut my images out, I usually cut them out right on the black line. Okay, I try not to leave any white, just because it's easier, and I think that this is a trick that kind of corrects some mistakes. Then I take this one happens to be brown, but I usually take a black. She's stamped in brown ink, and then I take the brush tip of a zig marker and just trace around the edge. It covers up that cut line, the little bit of the white paper will show, and I just really lightly run along the edge, and that kind of gives her already a little tiny bit of depth, just from getting rid of that white edge all the way around. And I'll take the brush tip and get into the nooks and crevices around her hair and her flower. So she looks a little bit more finished already, just with that marker trick around the edge. Then I'm going to try and do this upside down for you. That little image is Lazy Summer Berry Tilda from the last summer's collection. I'm going to stamp her. I've already got the base of the card all kind of figured out. I will go ahead and stamp her. And it doesn't matter if this layer is perfect because it's going to be the background. So if I get some of the image didn't stamp, or if it was double skipped just a little bit, it's okay. Now usually, this whole card is going to be lots of cool colors. Pinks, yellows, and whites, so lots of cool colors. So I will use my cool grays. Let's see, I have a COO and a C1. So what I do is, here's my image, and I'm going to take my lightest color, which right here is COO, the cool gray, and I will just trace the outline. It's not, this is not a very precise move. I'm just, part of the image is going, or part of the ink is going inside the line and part of it is going outside. So I'm just tracing, and my COO here is just about ready to be refilled. But I'm waiting on a refill from Scrappy Land. Okay, so I just trace it, and all this does is just gives it a really light shadow. Okay. See if you can, hopefully you can see that she's got a really light gray shadow around her. Then what I do is I take a coordinating color. This is a Tim Holtz Distress Spun Sugar, which is the lightest of the pinks. And because this card is cools and pinks, I'm going to use this. And I'm just going to get a little bit of ink, and I'm not putting a ton, I'm just rubbing it around to get it all over, but I'm not like scrubbing it down into that ink. Just want a little bit. And then what I do is I start in the center, so I put my ink down in the middle of her body, and I'm just going to scrub around the edge a little bit. So I'm going over that spun sugar, spun sugar, and just buffing around the edge. Start at the center so that the inkiest part is in the center of the body, which is going to be covered up. I just want to get it nice and even, kind of well balanced, so there's pink all around her. Okay. Now she needs a little more down by her knees. And by her head. There we go. I think she looks... So she is just ever so slightly pinked all the way around. And it's so subtle. It really is. It looks... I mean, as it dries here and over the next couple minutes, it'll get a little bit lighter. Sorry, this is where the perfectionist in me. I keep looking at... For some reason, it looks different upside down. And when I flip it around and I see it from a different angle, it looks different. Okay, so now I've pre-cut, this is some Echo Park paper. I've used the Echo Park pink, and I've cut a spellbinder shape here. And I love mixing and mashing spellbinder shapes. Where's my circle? And I love trying to find shapes that go together that aren't meant to go together. So I like the circle inside. This is one of the Scrappy Land exclusives. The yellow shape is the Scrappy Land exclusive. So I am going to need some tape the circle over my little girl here, and I'm gonna have her hands just resting on the bottom edge of the circle. Okay, I'm gonna cover up just a little bit just so I can't see the bottom edge of her hands, and then make sure I'm centered kind of left to right, and then put my tape down. Okay, so I have blade side down right here. Blade side is facing my image. And I'm going to turn around here and die cut this on my Vagabond. Alright, so that's running through the Vagabond. Love the Vagabond. Got my wafer thin die adapters to cut my spellbinders. Let's just put all this back down. Okay, so now I'm going to peel this off, and I will have part of a cut image, because I cut off her legs. It sounds so graphic, doesn't it? Cut off her legs. Grab some adhesive here. Okay, I have to look at this right side up now. And get her all centered, top to bottom, left to right. Okay. Get her on the top here. I should have put some ribbon underneath there, but for right now, that is good. Okay, now I'm going to use some American Craft Pop Dots. Now, these are my favorite Pop Dots, and I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, they come in circles, and I love the circles. And I love that there's two different sizes on one sheet. There are these big half-inch size, or no, quarter-inch size, and there's itty-bitty ones. But what I also like is that there are these little tiny pieces that are left. So what I do is I end up cutting these little pieces like this. You know, that's the remnant of a circle, and I use those. Yes, so I'm cheap. But they're great for sticking things like under arms and under hands and under little cutout parts because they fit perfectly. So you get to use, it's like major bang for your buck. You get to use all those little snippets. Get all the pieces off here. Okay, so she's ready to stick down. Now all you do is you line her up on top of her stamped image. Oh, I forgot a step. After I've buffed her with ink, I go back with one darker color. So I'm going to go back with my C1. And I just trace over that one more time. It's alright, forgot the darker. So I put that up there and I was like, that doesn't look right. So I'm just going to trace over, and you want half the image, or half the ink to be inside your image. You just want a nice little line. Whoops. Okay, so trace that with that one shade darker, and then line her up. There you go. Now, I'll take a picture and put this on the blog also, because it's a little hard to see because of the lighting here. But she looks great. I mean, the great shadow, lots of dimension, okay? And then, you know me, I gotta have a die cut sentiment. So I've used the Scrappy Crafts Flutterby here, one of our original. This is the new Zig glue that Danny is, well, it's not new, it's new to Scrappy Land. This is my favorite Quick Cuts glue. It's the only thing I use when I'm putting, especially when I'm putting letters together. Okay, so this is Flutterby. And that is going right there. Okay, now she's definitely going to need some bling or a flower or something. There's my tape, the double stick tape, or the removable tape. So there you go. You have a nice dimensional image with a sitting image, and she's actually, you've just made your Spellbinder's shape work for you, and your image is actually sitting on the Spellbinder's die. So that is my favorite way, and in my opinion, the easiest way to use a sitting image. If you don't have a bench or a toadstool or a box or a chair, and you just want to try out a couple of these sitting images, you make them sit on your shapes. I mean, it doesn't have to be a specific shape. It can just be circles and squares. Same exact thing. You can have her sit on the edge of a triangle, on the edge of a rectangle, or die cut your big dies. Diesel's my favorite, and have them sit on top of there. So those are a couple examples on what to do with a sitting stamped image. All of these products are available on stampyland.com. If you have any questions about anything you've seen here today, or about any stamping technique or trick, shoot me an email at stampylandsusan@gmail.com, or leave a comment below on this post. I love questions. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.